working on some actual geometry now. Starting off the very first section of geometry, we're talking about undefined terms. Now, geometry is very much like a cake or a house that we're going to start with the very bottom layer, and we're going to make sure that that feels really strong, and then we're going to add the next layer and the next layer. And depending on what choices you make on the first floor, changes what your building ends up looking like at the very top of the roof. It changes the style of your geometry. We're going to be working with one very specific kind of geometry, and we'll get into which kind that is later on down the road. But for now, let's get some undefined terms out of the way. An undefined term is a term or a word that you can't put a definition to. You can't say it is and then give this list of characteristics. The best thing that you can do is give some examples or describe what the thing looks like. And that's about the best you can do with an undefined term. Okay? So we're going to build our geometry with these three ones first. The first term is point. It doesn't have an actual size in geometry. Okay? Like if I put a point on my eye, that little dot that I drew, while I'll call it a point, is not really the point that we're talking about when we're talking about point in geometry. We're talking about something that has no actual size. You can't see it, you can only imagine it. And it's used to represent a location in space somewhere. Okay? So like when you go to Google Map and you have your little balloon thing and it's the piquito of the balloon thing is pointing to where you want to go, that point, that's a location. Right? And that represents some place in the actual real world. Make sure that that's what I thought. Music is still. Sorry. You name it with a capital print letter. Okay? So here is a symbolic representation. So I'm going to draw a point. So draw yourself a point. And then let's pick your favorite letter.
K.
K. Use a capital print K. Make sure it has. It doesn't have to be on your notes. It doesn't have to be a K.
Oh, okay.
It can be your favorite capital letter, but I'm going to use the one that got shouted out. It needs to be capital and it needs to be print. And I'm going to stress that again. It needs to be capital and it needs to be print. So if it's not capital and it's not print, you didn't name a point. Okay. The next undefined term is a line. A line's not going to have any kind of thickness. Like I've got lines all over this paper, right? I've got lines around the boxes. My N is made up of a couple lines hanging out and doing stuff. But those really aren't geometric lines because they have thickness. They have a width. The actual geometric line doesn't have a thickness. And it doesn't have a thickness because it's made of a bunch of points, and the points don't have any size. So if I get a bunch of things that don't have size together, I'm going to have something that doesn't have a thickness. But we can start talking about how long, how many points I'm stringing together to create my line. Okay, make sense? It's a little trippy. Okay, we're going to name a line, so let's draw a line really quick. It doesn't have to be the straightest. Make sure you have arrows on either end. You can name it either by 2 points on the line, so put 2 points anywhere you want on the line, and then give those points names. Can I have 2 more? You've already said a letter.
J.
You got a J, and I need one other
G.
letter. Someone else?
R.
R. Okay, so I can name it with those 2 points, J and R, and it's going to look like this. This is how I would write the name of this line, line JR. I must have both of those that are capitalized. You have your papers? They're over there, by the box. Yeah, by Sylvian. You must have the capital letters, both of them. We're cutting this 2040. And you have to have the little symbol above them that looks like the line with both of the arrows. If you miss the little symbol or you miss the little arrows on the symbol, you're no longer talking about a line, and I can't give you credit if the answer was line. Okay? All right. Order doesn't matter with the letters. So you could name it line JR, but you could also name it line RJ. And everyone is happy. You could also have a third point or some other points on the line, and as long as you use any two of the points that are on the line, you've named it. So this line is still named line JR, even though I've thrown an A in there. But I would not, never, ever, ever name this line JAR. 2 points, not 3. Okay? Yes? The other way to write it is with the lowercase script letter. Now what we mean by script is that it's cursive. And it has to be lowercase. Okay. Raise your hand if cursive is like freaking, like I don't know how to do cursive.
I just don't know how to do the Z.
Don't know how to do the Z, okay.
Z's tricky.
Okay, I've never learned how to do cursive. I just want to see hands. And it's not your fault that you've never learned how to do cursive.
You have such a thick pencil.
Okay, so that's not too many, but still enough. Okay, so I'll pull some cursive practice sheets so that way we can practice with the cursive. Anyone is welcome to do them, but those that haven't ever learned, we'll do some tutorial on the cursive. You don't have to become masters at it. I just want you to be able to get some of the letters, okay? All right, so because Z is weird for you, we're going to pick on that letter so you can see how to write a lowercase z.
So you're picking on me now?
I'm picking on the letter. I'm not picking on you. Okay, it's going to look like a number 3, but the bottom part of the 3 is like a long tail like you would for a letter Y.
Are you talking about a Z?
A Z. Okay, it looks like this. Ready?
Oh wow, you're right.
It looks like a 3, except I made the bottom part long and a loopy tail that came back up. Okay. I practiced. I have a Z in my name, so like I practice every time I write my name.
I have a Z in my name.
Woo, holla. All right, so if we're going to name it with the lowercase letter, we're going to write line Z. Okay? So make it look like a 3 and then make the bottom like really long with a tail. All right, we cool?
Yes.
All right. If the Z, those of you who are like struggling with the cursive, if the Z is intimidating right now, you can do like an L, which is just a really long E, like really tall E, or you can do an A, which just looks like a normal A. Okay? And that'll bring down. All right. The third word. The third undefined term is the word plane. Not an airplane, a plane. A plane has no thickness, no depth. Oh, wait, hang on. It has a thickness, and it has, has a thickness and has a width. What it doesn't have is a depth. So it's like a sheet of paper, okay? Where sheet of paper is, it has some sort of thickness, like you can feel it, right? But it's so thin that we typically say that this doesn't have any thickness, right? Okay? So picture your plane as a sheet of paper. Picture your, huh? No, I didn't hear you. What you say?
It says thick with one C.
It's thick with one C. Okay. Your line picture is a pencil, and then your point is just like a dot that you would draw with your pencil. Okay? So point, line, and plane. Here's how you would represent it. You draw like some sort of square or rectangle. Sometimes it's slanty looking, sometimes it's not. So draw yourself your favorite looking rectangle-y thing. Now, it can be named by 3, I'll define non-collinear in a second, but 3 non-collinear points. So non-collinear means points that are not on the same straight line. So I have those 3 points making this little triangle thing. Can I have names for my points? Someone who hasn't shared letters yet.
T.
T.
M.
M. And one more. H.
I said eight.
All right. So I can name it with those 3 letters. And so I would name this plane HTM. Order doesn't matter, but you have to have 3 letters. This is why lines don't have 3 letters. Because the planes have 3 letters. Okay? You can also name a plane with a capital script letter. So now we're doing the lowercase cursive for the line, and we're going to do the uppercase cursive for the plane. all right? And it would be seen here, so I'm gonna do an R. So uppercase cursive R looks something like that. So I went down, and when I came back up, I gave it a bit of space. It was kind of fat. And then I was at the top of my R, and that feels like normal. When I touch, I'm gonna make the tail, but I'm gonna swoop it out a little bit. I'll have a poster for you with how to draw all these pinned up for you guys tomorrow, so you can look at it and take pictures. And I would write the name of this plane, plane R. Okay? And you could name it with either one of those two names. Now if I had two lines, I'm going to use my Sharpie markers. So if I have two lines and they cross, what kind of shape is being made right here where they intersect, where they cross? The shape between the lines is making an X, yes, but the exact location where they're intersecting, where they're running into each other. Well, all,
Vertex.
okay, we've got a vertex. I love some of these words. So we've got vertex. We'll pull that up again when we have angles, so thank you very much. When we've got lines intersecting, remember that lines are made up of just a bunch of points, yes? And intersections are where these two objects share some points. Well, this line is only 1 point wide. I know that points don't have a size, but we're going to call it wide, so it's only 1 point wide. And this line is only 1 point wide. And if they intersect, they share. How many points are they able to share?
One.
Just the one. Because they're sharing it, the point on this line that's in the same position as the points on this line is suddenly the same point. Okay? It looks weird here because my markers have thickness, but you have to pretend that there is no thickness now. Okay? So, two lines are intersecting at a point. Two planes. A plane had what?
A line.
At a line, he says. Okay. So if you imagine the planes like one is the ceiling and one is the wall, and if you stare at where the wall and the ceiling run together, there's like this seam, right? And I could take a marker and I could trace that seam and I would have drawn a line. And so two planes, whenever they come together, form a line. Yes? All right, so here's my line right here. Now, do you see how one of these, they're like dotted? Yes? Okay, so if I look at B, here's B, I'm going to color it in. And then now it's dotted back here. That means that this part of plane B is behind this other plane right here. So I'm going to color this in. Okay, can you see it now? And that dotted line means that we've given you Superman X-ray vision to see through the other plane so you can see what's behind it. Okay, fair? All right. Now, when a plane and a line intersect, it's going to look something like this. Plane, line. Yes? Plane and line intersected. What kind of shape got made in the plane?
Circle.
But remember, this doesn't have any thickness, so you have to imagine that this thing is really, really small. So it is a point. So a plane and a line intersect
At a point.
at a point. Okay? And this two-dimensional picture is the representation of this thing. Right? That dotted line means that it's behind. So if I tilted it this way, you can't see part of the pencil, even though it's totally there. Yes? Cool. All right, let's do some practice. List all the possible names for the line that contains point K. Okay, so we have to find point K. Here's point K. What's the line that point K is sitting on?
LJ.
LJ is one word, so we're going to say line LJ. And we can write that with our symbol, line, and then a capital L and a capital J. Very good. What's another way to name that line?
JL.
Line JL. Please make sure you say the word line in front of it because we've got a bunch of letters that's going to happen and we're going to get confused. What's another way to name this line? Line KL. Another way? Line KJ. Now notice I put the word line instead of the symbol. You could do that too. That's okay. Is there a lowercase script letter by the line? There is, the letter A. So I can also name this line, line A. Please know when you use the lowercase script letter, you're going to use the word line and not the symbol line. Okay? There's probably more ways to name the line. I'll give you a chance to play with that later. I'd like to move on to the second one. List all the possible names for the plane containing point L. So looking for point L. Here it is. It's sitting on that little shaded piece of paper. What is the name of that plane? Okay, well, are you going to use the uppercase cursive letter or are you going to use 3 points? Okay, if we use the uppercase cursive letter, it's this one, B. Notice how there's no dot near it? That means that that uppercase letter isn't representing a point. It must be representing the name of the plane. So I can say this is plane, and then I'm going to do my best for a cursive B. Okay, so B. Very fat and loopy. It's like a heart that, yeah.
It's like lips or something.
It's something, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Just add a little stick there. If you're having trouble with the cursive B right now, you can totally do this. And that'll be okay too. So it feels almost like a print B, but you're making the loopy part kind of stick out the backs. Okay? That'll be okay too. All right, what's another way to name the plane? 3 points that are not what? In a straight line. So any 3 of these points not on a straight line. Go.
M.
B.
B's not a point.
J.
Yep.
L.
And L. J and L are totally on a straight line. M and L are totally on a straight line. It's not drawn, but you could draw one. And J and M are totally on a straight line. It's not drawn, but you could draw one. The trick is that all 3 are not on the same straight line. Okay? We can have 2 on the straight line, that's fine. Just not all 3. Cool? And you can see all the different ways that you could create 3-letter combinations, yes? Spell some funny words. That would be okay with me. I won't check your spelling. Yeah? Yes? All right. What does the word parallel mean? Doesn't touch. Okay? We're going to refine that definition here in just a minute, but for now, doesn't touch. The question is, would line A be parallel to a line connecting K and M?
No,
Why not?
because K and M would be,
No,
it would intersect
They'd intersect. Where?
at K.
Wait, K.
At K. Yes. So I'm going to take my pen here, and I'm going to draw a line that connects K to M. There it is. And I can very clearly, easily see it's going to intersect. Okay, so no, because I don't know what was up with that B. They would intersect at K. You don't need to write the word point in front of the capital letter to say that it's a point. You can just write the letter and everyone's going to know that you mean point K. So far, so good? Yeah? All right, join me on the back side of the page in 3 seconds. So now we've got undefined terms. And so the question is, well, how do we get defined terms? So we've got the foundation of our little geometry house, and now we're going to build the defined terms using only the undefined terms that we've already created. Okay? So our first term is going to be space, and the definition is the set of all of points, so the group of all the points that we've just created. And it's going to be boundless, so it never ends, and it's three-dimensional, so you have three directions of movement. You could go side to side, you could go up and down, and you can go forward and back. And those are your only three directions in space. The visual representation. Oh, sweet Jesus. You have to somehow draw a cube. Do it. Okay, I have a lot of trouble with this, so I've got to think my way through it. I start off with a square, and then off of 3 corners of the square, I take some lines and try to make it look like they're going back, so I give it some sort of perspective. And then I connect those lines. And then with dots, I take this one here, and I go back, and then I take this one and try to make it match up, and then I take this one and try to make it match up. And it always invariably looks messed up somehow. But that's my best cube. So we just need your best. Oh, it's beautiful. Can I show yours? Yours is so much better than
There's
mine.
no polka dots. I mean, like, polka dots. There's no, like, dotted lines.
Right, right here. I've drawn some. Oh, you didn't. Okay, it's okay if you didn't. See, she didn't on some of hers. Just remember that dotted line represents the fact that it's behind something else, because we're drawing on a flat 2-dimensional surface.
I drew a rectangle.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay. It didn't have to be a square. It could have been a rectangle. It could. That's perfect. It could have been a circle in the front, and then yeah, as long as it's 3-dimensional, we're happy. This is also a very beautiful 3-dimensional picture. You're very welcome. That one looks gorgeous. All right. I don't have a cool way to name space, so we're just going to leave it like that, okay? The word collinear came up, sort of. Collinear is the set of points that are always on the same line. So if I draw a line and I put some points on it, all of these points are collinear to each other. 2 points are always going to be collinear. You only need 2 points to draw a line. And non-collinear, the very next defined term, is points that don't all lie on the same line. So if I've got some line here with some points on it, and then I went and I drew some other point just hanging out by himself, he's not in the line. And so when you're in the cafeteria and someone tries to cut in, you go, I'm sorry, you were not collinear with us before we got here. You go to the back of the line to get collinear. Thank you very much. And they're going to look at you like you're weird. And then you can just laugh. Because they clearly haven't had me. Coplanar. Coplanar. These are sets of points or lines that are all on the same plane. So if I drew on my piece of paper here a line and some points, some of the points may or may not be on the line, but that's okay. So I have a sheet of paper with points and lines on it. Those are all collinear or coplanar. 3 points will always be collinear, or coplanar, excuse me. 3 points will always be coplanar. But if I took another sheet of paper and I had some points and lines drawn on it, and then I went to some other sheet of paper and I drew a line, this line is not coplanar to that line. Because this line is all drawn on this sheet of paper and this line is drawn on another sheet of paper. They're different planes. I could also do that with points, and I could draw some points. And these points are not coplanar to these points or this line because they exist on different sheets of paper. Yes? Okay. Let's handle the word parallel first. Y'all said parallel lines don't touch. And I said we're going to strengthen that definition a little bit. Coplanar lines that do not intersect are parallel. So if I have a plane like this, a sheet of paper, and I've got 2 lines drawn on it, and they're drawn in such a way that they're never going to touch, they're considered parallel. Okay? But I can have another set of lines that aren't going to touch, but they're not parallel. And these are two non-coplanar lines. So I have a sheet of paper here, and then I have some other sheet of paper kind of under it. Okay? I have a line on this paper going this way, and maybe like there's a line going this way on that sheet of paper. So I have top sheet of paper, and I have bottom sheet of paper, yes? And I have, I'm going to use this marker, I think. I have some line drawn on this plane, and I have some line drawn on this plane. Okay? They're non-coplanar. But if I line up the planes, they're not touching. These lines can't touch, can they?
No.
But it looks like if I stacked them up, like if one of these planes were see-through, it would look like they would touch, yes? It's kind of like this, like I've got my arms. They're lines, yes? Okay? Does it look like they're touching? They're not.
Oh, man.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like ninja kung fu fighting. They're not touching. But they look like they are at some angle. These are skew lines because they're not on the same plane. These would be on the same plane. Like I could stretch a sheet of paper between my arms, right? These are parallel because they're on the same plane. But the moment I do this and make it to where like there isn't a flat sheet of paper that could stretch between my arms without being all bent and folded and weird and crazy, they become non-coplanar. And if they don't touch, they're skew. Okay? Yes?
See.
All right. Let's refer to this figure. Are points A, B, and C collinear? What did collinear mean?
Are they, like, they're not,
Are they on the same line?
like, same line? No, they're not.
No, they're not. They're not on the same line. Because look, B and C are on this line, and then A is floating up here. So, no, they are not collinear. No. They are not all on the same line. Are A, B, C, and D coplanar? Are they on the same plane?
Wait, what?
A, B, C, and D, are they on the same plane?
No.
Good job, no. Good job. It's because we have, yeah. Okay, so here's our plane N. It's B, C, and D are sitting on it, right? And then we've taken this line with A and E and we've shoved it through the plane at B, and A is the eraser of the pencil. Right? A is not on the plane. It's not here on the piece of paper. It's out, it's floating out here somewhere. Non-coplanar. No. A is not on plane. Okay, now you get to choose. Do you want to name the plane N, cursive N, or the 3 points on it? Cursive N. All right, so if you want to do cursive N, write the cursive N. If you don't, use 3 letters, capital, and print.
Is that lowercase?
That's an uppercase because I made it tall. It looks like a lowercase. They look the same. So you get a freebie on that one. If you know one, you know the other. What is the intersection of plane N and line AE? B.
B.
Where did the plane and the line intersect?
B.
At B.
B.
See the line?
B. Now I know.
See it? All right. At B. What points are not on plane N? A, because it's floating up here, and E, because it's floating down there.